Hey YouTube, today I'm going to give you a quick video tutorial on how to replace your second row seat walk-in cable assembly mechanism on a third generation Honda Odyssey. Third generation Honda Odysseys are from 2005 through 2010, and regardless of the model type, the disassembly and reassembly and repair procedure is essentially the same. So the key problem here with this second row passenger seat is the walk-in assembly no longer functions correctly. And for those that don't know what the walk-in assembly is for, is essentially when you lift this side lever up, the seat should recline forward and this entire assembly should move freely back and forth on its tracks. As you can tell right now, this seat is completely locked into position, leaving a lot of inconvenience for those that are trying to get in the back because the seat can't move forward on its own. And the person that owns this vehicle now has to use the seat adjustment bar to move the seat in this manner. So that's insinuating to me that whatever cable assembly that's tying from this switch mechanism down through the side of the seat into the side assembly of the seat, I think there's a cable or something that has broken and needs to be replaced. So we're going to remove this handle assembly here, the cup holder assembly, and then ultimately remove the side panel cover to see what's going on the inside of this seat. So the first step here in the seat disassembly is to remove the side cup holders as such. And they're just held in with a few Phillips screws that look like this. Nothing special or fancy. I'm just going to undo them. You'll have to tuck this cup holder ring at an angle to get to the third screw. Once you undo it, this assembly should just pop up as such. So to prevent you guys from breaking this, just be aware that when you remove the third screw, that what happens is that you need to tip this thing forward so that this forward lip is away from the molded indentation on the side cover and lift up. And you can see that these hook latches are here. Now the next part of the seat disassembly is to remove the recline handle here, or the fold forward handle, which allows the seat back to fold flat against the seat cushion. And this one's a real tricky one because the only way that I found that you can open this thing is to push really hard against the plastic here and then sort of at the same time pull this handle out in such a manner like this, and then get your little tiny screwdriver or hook tool to unclip the little wire clip that's behind this handle that's holding this handle shaft piece to the seat folding assembly. The only best way I can describe it is for those that have ever removed manual roll down windows, that clip looks very similar to that. So I don't know how I'm going to videotape or document this. I think it might be just easier if I pull it off and then show it to you after the fact. So this is what the handle and circlip assembly looks like once you pop it off of the seat. Right here, when you pop it off, once you remove the handle, by pushing in the trim cover, you'd use a small screwdriver or hook tool to literally pull this little clip out. And the problem is this clip is so tiny and finicky that it'll probably fall through the seat cover and then onto the floor. So you might want to listen to where this little clip drops when it comes out. But essentially, the orientation of how this clip is supposed to go back on to the handle is that there's a little raised notch right here, this little piece of plastic. And essentially the handle needs to be in a vertical position as such. And you're going to put this circlip retainer back through the grooves as such. And that's what it should look like when it's reinstalled. And basically, when that time comes to reinstall this handle, you just simply slide it on and then it'll just snap back into place. Now, when I remove the handle, you can sort of see that there's some pry marks here on the handle. Unfortunately, you can't really avoid that unless you have a really fine hook tool to pull that out without damaging that. The damage is very minimal. I don't even think you can really see it. I just used a spoon or a butter knife to push it back down with a heat gun and call it a day. So the next step here is to remove the Phillips screw right here, as well as the two 10mm, or sorry, the two 8mm screws there, and this entire cover assembly should just pop right off afterwards. Now on the front here, there are some hidden sort of hook clips that you just kind of have to pull away, and then this whole assembly should just pop right off as such. And there you have it. So I just removed the side cover off of the second row passenger seat, and I can see right now that the eyelet on this cable assembly has broken off, and presumably that is why the seat is not moving forward freely when the seat back is reclined using the upper recline switch. How this cable works is that when you pull this cable, it actually will trigger two cables here in this little splitter joint to lift up the two pins that are retaining this seat slider assembly into the seat rails, very much like how you would adjust the seating position forward and backwards using this adjustment bar. So we're going to replace the cable assembly. The cost and part number, we'll start with part number here, it's 81363-SHJ-A01. It's about $20 at your local Honda dealership. What's really interesting about this vehicle is that the customer actually took this to two different Honda dealerships, and they both quoted her over $700 to replace the cable assemblies because they said they had to hire a leather specialist to cut the seat in part up into different sections, remove this upper switch assembly, replace the cables, and even then they weren't 100% certain as to how to fix this. So I'm showing everyone here now how easy it is to troubleshoot and replace. So the next step is, let's remove the seat out of the vehicle. Now, for those that own this minivan, I'm not sure if I should really have to explain how to remove this passenger seat, but I'm going to do so anyways. Whenever we take these seats out, it's always best to fold the two armrests into the up position, remove the headrests out of the way, move the front passenger seat as forward as it will go, and if I remember correctly, we want to pull on this lever here, tip the seat up as such, until it comes out the rails. Now what I should have done is actually fold this flat, but it's okay. There's lots of room here. Tip the seat forward, pull on this handle to unengage the front hooks as such, and the entire seat assembly should just literally unhook and carry out of the van with somewhat relative ease. Now that I have the seat out of the vehicle, what I'm going to do is lay a piece of cardboard or carpet on the surface that I'm working on. So in this case is my driveway, so as not to damage the back handle assembly or to scratch or cut any of the leather covering on the seat. And basically all I need to do now is tip the seat backwards, and I will have complete access to the front cable assemblies. So with the seat laying down, I'm going to follow where this cable assembly routes to, so we can see it come from here into this hole, which then sort of pops out underneath here, which then it sort of looks like it hooks onto right there, a peg right there, as you can kind of see, right in that spot, and conversely on this side, right here. Not really sure if I'm going to demonstrate how to route it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So you just pop it out, replace with the new one, and then I will demonstrate how to reattach it at the seat pivot point. So right here, where that eyelet was broken, you can see the eyelet here is intact, whereas the other one has snapped clean off the top half. This little groove right here snaps into just a little cutout in the metal frame, snaps in place. You just pry that out with the screwdriver. Conversely, underneath the seat frame, same thing here on the, I guess if you were sitting in the seat, it would be your right side rail, and it just snaps into the seat rail here on the right, and then this one on the left. And then these just kind of slide on onto the seat rail retaining pins, I guess is that what you want to call them. So, so where those cables route through on the bottom here, you sort of see in the background that blurry hole, is where the cable assembly pops out to where we fish that through. But if you peel this bottom of the seat backing over a little bit, you can sort of see that to gain ease of removal for the left-hand side rail, which would be left if you were sitting in the chair, that the cables are sometimes held in with a couple of these zip ties just to prevent rubbing and to keep things nice and tidy. So just don't forget to snip those, or at least fish the new cable through those, or just replace them. I would imagine there's probably 2 or 3 underneath this mesh cover. So here's a useful service tip, guys. Now I know I had earlier in the video I said I was going to try to work around this bottom cover piece without cutting it, but what I actually discovered is that if you peel up on this bottom lip on the back side where the felt starts underneath the seat, you can actually peel this cover assembly right off, because there's also a plastic lip in here that just tucks into this little plastic channel, therefore allowing you to flip up the Tyvek looking fabric to gain access to the back of the seat assembly. So as you can tell right here, that was the zip tie I had cut earlier to remove the cable, which I've already pulled out that side, and then we just need to cut this one to remove this left side cable. So I've removed the old cable from the seat assembly and compared it against the new one, which is sitting up here. So this is where the damage looks like it's occurred. You can see that the eyelet is broken compared to the new one, and the fact that even right here at the split joint there's some serious cable kinkage happening at this joint, whereas in the new one it's nice and smooth. So we're going to reroute this and zap strap all this stuff back in and reinstall the seat and see how she works. So I've just finished routing the walk-in cable assembly underneath the left and right seat rails respectively, and onto their appropriate pegs and hooks and all that fun stuff underneath. And now it's time to reattach the cable onto the actual Recline assembly from where it originally broke. So I've just reinstalled the seat into the minivan, so let's just test out this seat latch mechanism and see if our walk-in cable assembly fix has done the trick. So let's flip this lever up, and you can tell that the seat moves freely now the way it's supposed to, and this should have latch once I lift this back up. So as you can tell, it's nice and tight. I can test the manual adjustment bar to move the seat back and forth, lift up again, make sure that there's no sticking and binding, make sure the spring is tensioned properly, and I guess in a nutshell, the seat is now repaired. So much for the $800+ to hire a custom leather cutter to remove the seat cover. This took less than a total of maybe 30 minutes for me to do this end to end. So let's proceed to reassemble the side cover assembly now. So the side cover assembly just reattaches simply in the reverse order of how we've removed it. There's not much to it. There's some hooks right here on this front part that we had removed from the front portion of the seat, as well as these little notches here that hook onto the respective spots on this cover. In a nutshell, you just kind of have to mess with it to get it back on, but it's pretty straightforward. Once you've tightened and aligned this panel properly and snapped everything together, it should fit nice and evenly with hardly any type of gaps. You're going to reinstall your Phillips screw right in here, and your two 8mm screws there, and then you're going to reinstall your side cup holder by you're going to open it up as such, like this, and then install these little back notches that hook into the seat assembly, as how I showed you how to disassemble earlier. You're going to put it at an angle, and then just slide it in carefully until it snaps into place, as such, and then reattach it with the 3 Phillips screws. 2 on the top, and then 1 concealed just on the bottom here, where you have to kind of lift the cup holder up to gain access to it. So the final step in our seat reassembly process is to make sure that all the screws are screwed in nice and tight and firm. Just double check this one here before I put the handle on. And then just making sure that your little retainer clip is installed properly, is how I showed you earlier in the video. And it's a question of just lining it up properly on the seat so that the gaps are nice and even, and then literally just snapping that into place, and then just making sure that it's nice and tight. And if you want to test it, you can put the seat into its rearmost position, pull this handle up, and the seat folds down and locks into place, and then you want to pull it and pull the seat back right up. Test the upper walk-in mechanism again, pull forward, seat should slide, and there you have it. So there you go. So as you can see from my video, the cost and difficulty replacing the walk-in cable assembly on your Honda Odyssey second row seats isn't expensive nor difficult, and is a far cry from the $800+ that two different Honda dealerships have mentioned to this customer to replace the cable assembly because they simply had no idea what was going on and how to do it. The seat works like a champ now. As you can tell based on the seat, it works flawlessly, and there's almost no damage except the little sort of rub mark on this handle assembly. And yeah, so the customer's a lot happier and they saved themselves a ton of money. My understanding is this is a very common problem, just reading about it on the internet. So guess what? I've shown everyone how to fix your own second row seat walk-in assembly. I hope you found this video useful and informative. Rate, comment, and subscribe.